Starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for putting up with me not showing up the last 2 weeks. I was all over the country doing trade shows and sales seminars and meetings on the new talk to see what the marketplace would think about it. I have nothing but extremely good news to report. When I showed it to Chris Fredrickson and Russell Flagg, Joe Woodard, and David Bernstein, and Teal, they were blown away. And as a matter of fact, since then, we've had several mentions in national accounting magazines and accounting blogs because people said this is something to watch for. And if you want to hear about talk accounting on the internet or where it's ever written about or anything else, you can do something called um, uh, Google search. You can set up a Google search for keywords. Everybody should have this set up for themselves. And it searches the internet every day. And if you're ever mentioned, then it sends you a notice with a link to where you were mentioned. If you want to know more about that, send me an email and I'll send you a couple of examples of how it might work. Okay, here we go. Talk. Now, we've been working for the last 6 months upgrading this. And you know why? Because we went out and gave away AutoKept. AutoKept is a great product. I love AutoKept. However, people didn't use it. And they didn't use it because their habit is to do nothing. And many people say, well, I'm paying you to do all this crap work. Why should I have to stop and record everything? And of course, they don't understand how much they're paying us extra to do crap work, like call them up or look up on Google what American General Confectionery for $27 in August was for, and then try to figure it out based on calling the company or looking at their website how to code a transaction. When now all that's going to go away because we're linking the Talk app directly to their accounting software. Now, if anytime you have any questions or anything, give me just type it in. We have to have closed microphone because there's so many people on the phone today. So this was a beautiful product, but it failed because customers wouldn't change their behavior. And so what we did was we went back to the drawing board and redesigned the product so that it would fit the behavior of human beings. And we actually came up with 4 different levels of product. And we're starting out with something called Ledger, which is free. And you give it away. And you've heard me talk about giving it away over the last couple of months at group speaking events where I'm getting 80%, 90%, 100% of the people to download it. Well, as soon as they download it, I've got who they are, I've got their mobile number, their email, and I've got all their transactions. I mean, how hard is it to go from I've got all of your deductions in my organizer to do you want me to do your work? It's a really short trip between those two. So the here's the Ledger is the free thing that we give away. It's really, really basic. I'm going to explain that to you in person. I'm coming out to see you. That's a big part of what we're talking about today. Link is the product that actually imports directly into QBO. It will import to Zero, but we haven't had any customers actually ask us about Zero. We have a lot of people that say, will it work? But nobody actually ever calls us up and say, okay, let's install it. So there's still some things to be worked out. But as soon as somebody says, hey, I've got Zero clients, we're there. As for desktop or other software, it's still going to be a spreadsheet import with the Talk system. But for the most part, we're going to go with this link because this is where the future of all this is going anyway. And as we get customers to ask about it, we'll do the Zero and the FreshBooks and the Cashy and those other online software programs. But this entire Talk process will work with the spreadsheet import going into the desktop QuickBooks. The next level of the program is going to be Miles. And A question just popped up. Will it work with Sage Peachtree? And yes, it'll work today with the spreadsheet import. Um, and if I get enough requests, then I can build the online link. I think it's Sage 50 that is the online product. So, Robert, if you want to send me an update on that and where you're at with it, let's talk about it. Okay, so, and then miles, we've separated the mileage tracking out of the product because the setup was too difficult the way we had it created. We all worked in one program and we were running into obstacles with training. And then the enterprise version, which is the talk accounting that we went around and showed everybody last year, we've come to the conclusion that it's better to just sell the workflow desktop scanning paperless document management system direct to your client and then put you in the situation where you're in their workflow so that when they have problem documents or transactions, they delegate them to you. I know that nobody here on the phone wants to hire a whole bunch of data entry people, and when I ask accountants, do you want more clients, they always say no instantly because all they can think about is more clients means more work. Well, hopefully we're not doing that here. Hopefully more clients are coming in because of automation. Okay, so let's get right into Ledger. Now, we're going to go back to the same basic premise, take a picture and talk to your phone. However, this is now linked to the client's bank account and the client's main business credit card. And when they click on, when they make a transaction, they don't have to do anything. They just go to Starbucks, run their credit card, and walk out the door. They forget about it. Now, if we get enough information to be able to determine, based on rules that are in QuickBooks or rules that the client typed into Talk, that we can code that transaction, then we're going to go ahead and code it and be done with it. However, most of the time we can't get the purpose of a transaction. So if somebody goes to Walmart and spends $147, you have no freaking idea what that was for and how you're supposed to book it or anything else. And that's one of the major friction points in getting work done for clients because we get inaccurate information. So we're going to go over how that's handled. But really, what it really amounts to is at 4 p.m., the client gets a ping on their phone. And the ping says, you have open transactions. And what that means is you spent money we can't figure out. Now, we know who you spent it with, how much it was, how you paid for it, that sort of thing. As a matter of fact, we probably have a pretty good guess of the category. But we don't know the person you had lunch with. We don't know the project you're supposed to charge this expense to. We don't know the purpose of the expense, so we can't do the transaction. But we're not going to worry about that in our office anymore. We're going to ping the client's phone at 4 o'clock, and his transactions are stacked there. Maybe he did 5 transactions today. 2 of them we could not understand. So it's just simply going to, when he taps the phone, the screen pops up. Look at this, you spent $147 at Walmart. Can you tell us what that was about? They tap the phone, they talk about why they did the transaction, and then it will code itself. If it's over $85, it will ask the client to take a picture of the receipt. Now, sometimes the client will do this during the day when they affect the transaction, but most of the time they don't. And that was our big problem with with AutoCAD. They wouldn't take their time, they wouldn't stop and talk to the phone, even though it only took 10 seconds. Well, now we're going to nag them, and the nag never goes away. So the nag is there at 4 o'clock, and if you don't respond, it nags you again later in the day, and if you don't respond, it nags you again the following day, and it only takes a few seconds, but that little nag is enough to turn this around. Now, in the Ledger product, the transactions go into a very simple Ledger format. Now, this can be exported to a spreadsheet so you can do a tax return. But the client's not going to get a profit and loss statement. What we're going to do is give them an account balance, and this is the current amount of money you have in your main business checking account. This is going to show up on their phone as well as their back end dashboard. But what we're going to track here is how much money you brought in this month, how much money you spent this month, and that's it. And of course, they can click on any transaction and drill down and look at the receipt. If they spend money at a restaurant, I guess now you have to always have a receipt at restaurants. So they're prompted, hey, you're going to need a picture. This was a restaurant. If it's over $75, hey, you're going to need a picture. And the first couple of days, the client may have thrown their receipt away, but by reminding them, they'll learn how to do this. So going forward, we don't have the problems that we've had in the past. So the client's going to have a more, now, and I'm talking about the very basic client. The basic client's going to have a more usable system, and quite frankly, most of them won't even need to go to QuickBooks because most small business owners are using Excel to send out their invoices anyway. And I'm talking about the 55 million 1099 contractors in America, or small 1 and 2 person businesses. That's really the beginning target, although we're going to use Ledger to get lots of different kinds of prospects into our marketing funnel. Now, so they're going to have this very basic, simple, easy to use thing on their back end. All they have to do is at 4 o'clock, tap the phone, answer a couple of questions on what we couldn't figure out on our own in the background, and then everything is posted in the ledger. And then we're going to give this software away for free. And the reason we're going to do that is because we want to get a lot of users. We want to get hundreds of users or thousands of users, because these are people that are requiring no work from you. At this point, you're not doing work, but they're in your marketing funnel. You have their contact data, and you have their transactions. Now, so that's where we're going to start. Then the next thing is this product is perfect for the client that hates paperwork, and every one of us got 10 or 20 of those clients. They never fill out who they went to lunch with. They never tell you what the credit card charge was for. This is all going to go away, this labor that gets dumped on you. This is going to go away. That doesn't mean you're going to lower your prices. It means you're going to lower your cost. And so that client, or the client that never gives you enough data to code the transaction about who they went to lunch with, usually what we end up doing is having to call that client and ask them about the transaction. Or we make an inaccurate assumption that they take $200 out in cash at the ATM machine. They got to tell us why. Otherwise, we're going to be talking, we're going to be coding that $200 as owner draw, and they're going to end up paying taxes on it. But it's quite possible they use the $200 to pay 2-day laborers to clean up the job site. But they don't tell us this, so we don't know what to do. We've got to charge the $200 to income. But when you call the client and say, would you spend $27 on in August, they hate that call. And it's irritating to them because they can't remember. And so they're guessing, or you're guessing, but both sides have a lot of expense here. I'm going to give you just one example. This happened in my own life. I'm sorry to say, about a month ago, I spent $10 online with a company called Udemy. And Udemy is a training company. And I did not record the transaction. I ignored it because I did the whole thing on the internet, and I just skipped it. When the transaction came through and my bookkeeper is doing the reconciliations, she can't figure out how to code the $10. Now, by training, she needs to code it to something, so she looks up Udemy on the internet, and she finds out it's a training company. But she doesn't know, did I buy training to learn how to knit a sweater? Or did I do training to learn how to fix a flat tire? Or did I buy training that had something to do with the business? So she had to call me on the phone. She spent 8 minutes looking up this transaction, and then 3.5 minutes with me on the phone going over this transaction, so she would know how to code it. Now, if we calculated the burden rate of her 8 minutes and my 3 minutes, that burden rate of that transaction exceeded the $10. We spent almost $21 to code a $10 transaction. That's idiotic. But that is the solution that we are going to provide, and we're going to provide it. The market here is gigantic to get people in your funnel. We're starting. Of course, we're going to start with your clients because clients already hate this phone call. And when you show this talk to them, they're going to be, oh my God, this is going to solve so many of my headaches. I cannot believe how easy this is. So that's where we start. But then we're going to go to, by doing public speaking or some of the other things we can do to give the app away for free. There are now 55 million 1099 contractors in America. There were only 12 million in 2008. Why has there been this explosion of self-employed people? Some people say it was Obamacare, that Obamacare came along and employers started pushing employees out the door. Others say that it's just this trend of people wanting to work on a contract basis from home rather than go to work 8 to 5, Monday through Friday after driving 2 hours to work. Whatever it is, this market has exploded in the last 8 years, and Intuit is trying to capture this market with their $7 entry-level software, but it's still double entry accounting software, which is great if you're trying to be GAAP compliant, but these people don't even want GAAP compliance. They just want, at the end of the year, will you create a P&L, create a balance sheet, and create a tax return for me? You've got all my documents. In the meantime, I only want to know 3 things: how much money I got in the bank, how much money I spent this much, and how much money I brought in. When you get right down to it, those are the KPIs for 55 million people. And in the back of their mind, they know exactly where they stand because they're only doing 10,000 a month in revenue, in that range, maybe 15, maybe 6, but it's in that 10,000 range. We don't know that these people are going to stay there. They are very profitable tax returns. They may never become bookkeeping clients, but it doesn't matter because you're not doing work for this group. Now, the next group up the food chain, though, is going to be those 5 million companies with one full-time bookkeeper, might be a part-timer, but that guy that has a bookkeeper, and the burden rate for that bookkeeper is $36 an hour. If he's paying them 15 to 20, it's costing him 36 to have them in the room. To have them in the office every day. And we get those people by doing speaking engagements, and they sort themselves out. Then the even better prospect we're going to go after are the 1 million businesses that have a small fleet of trucks. Because in a few seconds, I'm going to tell you about mileage, and it's going to be called T-miles for talk miles. But we have come up with a way that we can track all the mileage in a fleet. So if a guy's got 10 trucks or 30 trucks, the business owner will know where all those trucks are all the time, and he'll know exactly where they went, when they went there, when they started, when they stopped, and he'll know it in real time. And the driver gets pinged, hey, we see you're at 218 West 3rd. What did you do there? Why are you there? And so the driver's filling in the blanks. Now, this will be an excellent way to go out and get more of those 55 million people, by the way. But this is an upgraded prospect. If this guy's got 10 or 30 trucks, we know that he's doing 5 million in sales. This is the kind of client that you want your foot in the door with. And a big part of all of this is generating these new clients. And we went out in January, February, and March, and we sold business owners directly for installing the enterprise version. And I'm very embarrassed to tell you that most of them were totally confused. We're going through the sales process, and they could not figure out. We took on such a big bite all at once that we walked in, we said, we got Harry Potter's magic wand, and we can wave this talk over your business, and all the ducks will line up in a row. And we got just way too much confusion. So back to the drawing board, bring the product down to what people can understand, bring it down to what they will actually use, and then we can work them back up. So the big thing, though, that I want to just really hammer home here at this moment is that this is probably the greatest lead generating program I have ever touched. This makes the QuickBooks seminars we did 15 years ago, makes it look like chump change, because 90, 80, 90, 100% of the people in the room, when I do a demonstration, download the app immediately. And more than half put their credit card numbers in, and they put their bank account numbers in. I've had some people say, well, no one will ever do that. Well, some won't. And I never worry about the ones that won't. My job is not to fix the slowest boat in the convoy. My job is to take the 10 fastest boats and get somewhere when I'm running a business. And if you can do group presentations, we're going to give you all the support you need. If you can't do them, I will help you with that. I might even come out to your town, or I'll book the meetings. However, I don't want to do it unless you actually know how to use this and you know what's going on, because then it's a lot of wasted effort on my part, because you'll walk out there and get confused. So I'm coming to your town. And we've already scheduled meetings in Phoenix, San Diego, LA, Orange County for week after next. And then I'm coming all over America like we did last summer. And we're going to spend just 1 hour, because this thing is so simple. That's all it's going to take is 1 hour. But when that hour is over, then the real process begins. And that's what I'm going to go over with you right now. So let's say I come out to Phoenix, and you're saying, okay, KC, I like this. Let's do the talk. I want to give it away for free, and I want a lot of people in my funnel, because that's going to be great for business. And I want to get that billing going down the road, because that billing going down the road is a shared revenue stream, by the way. 50% of anything that comes in from that client goes back to you. So on day 1 to day 4, after I come out there, my team is going to call you on the phone, and they're going to walk you through the installation process on using Ledger the first time. Now, most clients can figure this out. Accountants cannot. I don't know why, but when we give this to a 40-year-old business person, he'll log on, have the whole thing locked up and ready to rock and roll in 5 minutes. But I think accountants think too much, or sometimes we're just not technology savvy enough, and we get backed up on the installation. So the support team over here has developed an installation and training process. Then on day 5 through 7, we're actually going to review with you all the common types of transactions that those 55 million or 5 million or 1 million people do. And how do we handle things like, how do we teach a client? And we're actually the ones that teach a client. How do you do a rent? Now, and what if you paid the rent because a guy sends you an invoice and you write a check, or you automatically draft rent on your credit card, or you have a bank draft, or he doesn't do anything. It's just up to you to remember to go down and pay him. Those are all different ways to handle rent, and clients need to know this information. So we're going to, on day 5 to 7, teach it to you. Then on day 10 to 14, once we've had this meeting and you've downloaded the brand new talk off the website, then we're going to upgrade your talk to the accountant's version. Now that kind of goes back to what AutoKep did, private labeled, your name's on there, because what we really want to have happen with those 55 million people is we want them to call you. We want them to do transactions, and then if they can't figure out how to do something or they don't understand something, we want them to call you on the phone, because that call is not free. That call is your selling opportunity. So when a guy calls you and says, how do I handle this transaction? I think you should have the bookkeeper teach them, but it should be a $1 a minute billing to get them on the phone and teach them. But it should also be an opportunity to say, what else are you doing? What else do you need? Do you want to come down and visit with us about that? And we all know that if we get somebody on the phone, we start talking to them, we got a really good chance of converting them into a client. But we don't get enough people to call us. Now, I'm getting some questions here. Do we still automatically download bank information? Yeah, it's doing it in real time. It's doing it in real time. So every Now, when you're on QuickBooks Online, maybe I didn't understand the question. If you're in QuickBooks Online, you're still going to do your daily downloads, and it's going to match up whatever the client said to whatever the bank said. If the client gave us the wrong dollar amount, it's going to take what the bank said because that's what's going through the checking account anyway. So it appends the data, but we're not losing the project we're on, the person we had lunch with, or the purpose of the transaction. And that's information we cannot get from a bank download. Nobody records the purpose of a transaction. And I do realize that a lot of transactions are memorized. But I also know that every single business owner doing anything has got random crap going on all the time. So on day 14, we're going to move you up to being an accountant. Now, what that means is that now you can start giving it away, private labeled under your name, linked back to your office. From day 14 to 44, I would like to help you get talk free to your clients. And that means put banner ads on your webpage or emails with a private link that goes out that downloads your version. And I would like to do webinars to your client, you and I, one-on-one, to your clients. It'll take about 20 minutes, maybe 15, to get them to download the app and get started. Now, the online videos and the links to training that are on the app will get the installation done successfully with most of your clients. Some are going to call you. That's not free. If they call you and ask for help, you get to charge. Hell, you're giving this solution away at no charge, so it's not fair that you have to do the work if the guy can't figure out. I mean, I've had customers come in and say, what's a scroll bar? And it's like, are you kidding me? How can we ever get out of the parking lot if how are we ever going to get to equality if we can't get out of the parking lot? That was a funny commercial about feminism a few years ago. So 14 to 44, let's get your clients into this. Day 44 to 75, marketing. Now, that means getting new clients into your funnel through speaking engagements. And this is so simple. And if you want to see me do it first, send me an email. Because I've had a lot of requests to start doing at least one day a month where I actually pitch business owners. And then after the business owners go home, to tell everyone else how we just did this. How did we get in the room? How do we negotiate the price? How did we get the clients to sign up? What are we going to do with the clients next? That sort of thing. I'm seriously considering doing that where we're maybe we set up a town that's easy for people to get to. One month we'll do it in Vegas, the next month Orlando, that kind of thing, and bounce back and forth. What do you mean day ranges? 1 to 4, 5 to 7. Roger, what that means is I can't tell you exactly the day because my staff may have too many people on day 5. So on the first day after I see you, when I come out there and you download the app, sometime in the first 1 to 4 days, you're going to be on the phone with my staff. And you're going to do step 1 and practice that before you go to step 2, which is day 5 to 7. And we're going to walk you through this step by step. What we did last year was we overwhelmed you. I took a great big list of everything that the world's best business development practice management system could ever do, dumped it all into talk, and they came out there with the dump truck and dumped it in your lap. And that didn't work. We overwhelmed you, and it was a mistake on my part. So we sat down and revamped our processes so that we can walk you into this. My hope is that within a year, you're paying me $1,000 a month because you got so many new clients coming through the door. So let's go to day 75. On day 75, we're going to do Link. Now, Link is the version, the upgraded version from Ledger. Remember, Ledger's free. Link is the one that actually imports transactions right into the accounting software. And that we're going to bill the clients for that. And the client's going to ask to get it because they're going to see the offer on their phone and they're going to see the offer on their ledger when they go to their website to look at their transactions. And at that point, if they want to make this an easier process, so these transactions are talking to the phone actually post directly, $20 a month. Half of that goes back to you. I'll do the billing, so you don't have to be involved in that. And then I will send you at the end of the month one half of what we billed. On day number 90, we're going to train your staff on using the back. Now, that means on day 75, here's link. Here's how to go get your clients to love it. Here's what it does. On day number 90, I'm going to train your staff on using the link back-end process to start accelerating the workflow. How can we get more done? Because now clients are talking transactions right into the system. On day 120, I'll introduce T-Miles. T-Miles is the mileage version broken out, and we want you to install it in your car and test it first. Before you take it out to a guy with 30 trucks and say, here's the best mileage system on the planet, I want you to know it's the best mileage system, and it is, by the way. This makes Mile IQ look like a cartoon on Saturday morning compared to the movie Gone with the Wind, because we have solved some of the biggest major problems on Mile IQ. A, people still have to remember at the end of the day to deal with this, and B, it runs down the battery. So the app kills the battery and people quit using it. We don't use the GPS in the phone. We use a dongle that goes in under the dash, and that dongle is working independent of the phone, but we tag or text the client whenever the car stops. Hey, where are you at? Why are you there? And all the data is already filled in except the purpose. And once we have the purpose, we have a good mileage transaction. On day 130, we'll show you how to start introducing this T-Miles to businesses that need to track miles. You've probably already got a massive amount of clients that need to know this. Excuse me. But let's go find those guys with 10 trucks or 30 trucks. And I got to tell you, they're all looking for a solution on this, and they're bouncing around between T-Slips and Mile IQ and some very expensive high-end systems. And you're going to be able to go out and say, listen, for $10 a month, I can tell you where your truck is 24/7. And I can tell you when it stopped, and you can look at a map and see all your trucks in your city where they are at any one given time. And the guy's going to go, holy smokes, I'll sign up. Here's my $300 a month. And so on day 130, we'll do that. On day 150, then I'm going to bring back Enterprise into the mix. But here's what we're going to do. We're going to sell, rather than sell the Enterprise Total Talk workflow system to you, we're going to sell it to the client. And by doing that, then the client's going to pay $197 to $497 a month, depending on how many employees they have on it and how many documents. We'll go over that in day 150. But the reason they'll buy that is because my 40-hour bookkeeper will now be able to get the work done in 8 hours a week. And you're going to be in that skill pyramid. So if that bookkeeper can't figure out how to do something, rather than guessing or fretting or losing time, she's going to be taught how to delegate it to you, and that becomes a billable event. So you're not doing the bookkeeping, you're not doing the accounting for this $200 to $500 a month. You're giving them the software only, but we're not even going to think about that until we get out to day 150. We're going to work our way up to it, but you will be surprised when you go to a client and say, 40 hours, down to 8, they're on that. Let me see. I got a couple of questions coming in. In Phoenix, your pitch was to replace the in-house bookkeeper. Okay, so here's what we ran into. Nobody wants to get rid of the bookkeeper. The idea when we went out there and started selling this, my bookkeeper is overworked. I want my bookkeeper at least to come in a couple hours a day. We ran into obstacles. So now we adapted, and we find that it's easier to say, let's move your bookkeeper to part-time, or give her other more important work to do. And most business owners know the bookkeeper spends about 40% of their time running down missing information on transactions, the where is it or what is this question. They waste another 25% of their time on touching paper, and the Talk Enterprise version will take that away. And so it's not that part then becomes easy. What was difficult is saying, Susie's been with you 22 years, send Susie home. And so I've just learned more than since I saw you the last time out there in Phoenix. So for this enterprise version, we're going to specifically start looking for these 5 million companies or the 1 million that have got fleets. And that's going to happen easily because by the time we get out to a day 150, you could have hundreds, if not more, people in your funnel. Some are going to be small, one-man businesses. Some are going to have 30 trucks, but they know what you do because they've been using Talk to record the purpose or the person for the lunch bill they went to today. And the bookkeeper hasn't called me in 3 months asking me a question I don't know the answer to. And so you're now in a position to walk in and sell this bigger offer. Now we're on the road. We're doing our first presentation in Phoenix, LA, San Diego, starting in 2 weeks or about 10 days. And then, but we'll be sending you individual emails and talking to you individually about when you would like to attend to get this new upgraded version. And that's all I have to say today. I'm done talking. And so if you have any questions or anything, send me an email or call our office. We'll be excited to tell you about this. All I can tell you, though, about the new upgrades, the most important thing I can tell you is I showed it to probably 6 of the quote-unquote thought leaders of the accounting industry over the last 2 weeks at Woodard's, and I went to Chauncey Hutter's Tax Summit, and I went to Flag Show. We were all over the last 2 weeks, and they were absolutely spellbound. I mean, we're talking about chin dropping to their chest, that kind of spellbound, and I'm excited for that. We have built the very best product on the planet for capturing the purpose, the project, the person, and now we're going to go out and how do I make money with this new business model? Well, what an excellent ending question. A, the product won't do everything. It'll do all the grunt work you don't want to do, but it still won't do the tax return, and it still won't actually do all the adjusting entries or the judgment calls, and that's the high billable hour stuff that your skilled staff and you have always told me you like to do. That work is still falling to you. The second way you'll make money is when people sign up for $20 or $10 or $200. You and I are splitting that money down the middle. The software is doing the work. 50% of the gross billing is going back to you. So that's how you'll make money with this. And the third way is it's going to be possible, no one's done this, but it's going to be possible to have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of clients. We've got a couple of accounts that have 200, 300, 400, 500 clients. They could quite possibly double the number of people that are going through their company now. And that's kind of scary to a lot of us because we can't imagine how we would deal with 1,000 clients. But there are a lot of companies out there that deal with 1 million clients every day. So they figured something out that you haven't. What's missing from our business model that they've already engineered out of theirs? And so that's the third way. I got a lot more clients. Okay, good. Those were great questions. Thank you. And I'm looking so forward to seeing you. I'm on the road, and I will be in Las Vegas at Accounting Tools next week. If any of you are there, be sure to stop by, and we'll go ahead and do your download and get your day 1, day 4 started immediately. Otherwise, I'm hoping you can wait till I see you so that we can have a methodical, accurate implementation that will bring all these clients to you while we're not bringing work to you. Okay, good. Thank you, everybody. Email me with any open questions or leftovers, and I will talk to you soon. Bye now.